Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker, and you are listening to episode 5 of Picks on the Rocks. I guess the title's not pending anymore because we haven't come up with a better one. This is the episode each week where I am joined by my buddy Matt the Mechanic, all the way from across town. He makes picks on the upcoming card, and I criticize him for those picks. So let's get into it. Matt, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good, Bill. If I ever ask if you do you like squirrel? Have you ever ate squirrel?
I have not.
You want to?
Sure.
I got this squirrel at work that just keeps somebody's feeding him, so he keeps coming in, and I'll be just like turning around and I'll be standing on my toolbox, or he'll like run up my lap while I'm typing notes on the computer. I'm not scared of squirrels, but I don't know if that little bastard's gonna bite me.
Is it legal to kill them? I guess it is in Florida.
I don't know. No, they wouldn't find out.
You know what I noticed? The squirrels look very different here than they do in New York. In New York, I guess they get fed more or they eat out of the trash and stuff. And like the squirrels are a lot fatter in New York.
The squirrels I grew up eating, man, I'm showing my redneck, but they were much larger, but that is because they have access to the corn and bean fields. So they get really fat. Just like the deer. The deer here are like goats. We have actual deer.
That's true. They're very tiny. The coyotes are really small too.
Yeah.
I got a pack of coyotes that live like in the woods next to me.
You got the fence.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Is it legal to kill coyote?
I think in Florida it's legal to kill anything if you're threatened by it. Like if you feel like it's gonna hurt you, I'm pretty sure you can get away with it.
You could probably get away with it. It's inside the fence.
Oh,
it's actually a bounty back home.
If they're on your property, you kill a human in Florida.
Yeah, that's true.
So, in any case, we were gonna start the episode off with the trumpets, but the hardware wasn't cooperating, and the reason we're starting with the trumpets is because it is Matt Steamrolla Frevola Fight Week. Our buddy who occasionally trains here in Tampa, primarily trains out of Law MMA on Long Island. And the thing with the trumpets is it's, I guess, the theme song for the New York Mets.
No, it's the theme song for the pitcher. That's the closer. So, like when they send in the guy to finish the game, that song lights up the place.
Okay, so he plays it when he comes out because he's the guy that finishes fights.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I'm slowly losing my microphone here. So this is probably going to be the first and last run with this microphone. I was telling you off air, my wife graciously bought this for me and gave it to me the day I got my brown belt because I casually mentioned to her I needed a new microphone for the podcast. So she just went and got one, bless her heart, which I greatly appreciate the gesture, but it just doesn't work for my setup here. So I think I'm going to have to swap it out for something else.
Sometimes that's the problem with Amazon is they can make a product look really well.
Yeah, and it's easy to fake reviews. I used to work for a big electronics company, so I know for a fact that they pay people to write fake reviews, and I can't say they require employees to write reviews for the products, but they strongly encourage employees to write reviews for products, and it's basically forcing them.
Yeah, I've seen that trickle down into the automotive industry.
Oh, sure. I'm sure it goes on in every industry that's selling something. So you got to get ahead somehow. You got to stand out. There's 400,000 microphones on Amazon. So I guess if you got to buy a couple of reviews, get you some more sales. That's what they got to do. But so Matt Frevola, I was willing to have the trumpets on the show, even though I grew up a Yankees fan. I guess there's no real animosity there. They played each other once in the World Series. And then they started doing like the Subway Series thing. So I guess it got a little competitive. But I do like the Mets because my dad used to take me to New York Mets games when I was a kid because the Yankee tickets were expensive. So he would take me to Mets games and the stadium would be empty. So it would be It would be pretty cool. He would buy like nosebleed tickets, and we would get to move down like as close as we wanted, pretty much.
Yeah, I went to an Indians game once. I think I went to a Marlins game once, and it was like $1 ticket. And then, like you said, we got to move all the way down to make it look like it was packed. That was a
Yeah,
weird. If you ever make it to the Miami Marlins Stadium, it's really weird because there's not really parking, so you end up parking in people's park like yards,
yeah. It
and
sounds
they
like
charge.
Miami.
So you, I parked, paid the guy, came back. Another guy standing there and said, "Hey, you're parked in my yard. You owe me money." So the guy that sold me the parking spot, he was just selling parking spots.
He's like, pay me
Scam.
money, and you can park here.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I just said, "Oh, it's in my car. Hold on."
oh, you're lucky you left with all your tires in Miami. So in any case, I had no issue playing the New York Mets song if it's in support of our buddy Matt the Steamrolla Frevola. Um, he's appearing on the main card at Madison Square Garden, which is huge for him growing up in New York. Um, you know, on Long Island, but still technically New York. Just a stone's throw away from Madison Square Garden. Long Island, I from where I grew up, I was probably like maybe 8 miles from Long Island, but it would take anywhere from 90 minutes to 3 hours to get there.
So it's like
Depend
I-4 to Orlando.
it's worse.
Ugh.
It's way worse. Yeah, the traffic, going from the Bronx to Queens to Long Island, it just you're just sitting there. Like you might as well bring like a handheld video game to play in your car, depending on the time of day.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna figure out why the trumpets isn't working, and I'll have it next week, and we'll use it in celebration.
That sounds even better. And I'm having a little drink here, some Elijah Craig toasted barrel. You sipping on anything over there?
Cheers, Blends.
Ah, show off.
You had Stag a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I still got some up here.
Yeah,
I got some Blantons too. I guess I should have poured some. We should have coordinated.
yeah.
Have a toast of Blantons in honor of the Steamrolla. All right, so we're gonna change things up from how we were doing it. You were just giving us a parlay each week. Now we're just gonna have you pick the main card to give you a little bit better odds. So
Yeah, it's
do you,
brutal.
do you want to build up to the main event, or do you want to start at the main event and work to the opener?
Let's build up, but we should talk. Oh no, you already talked about the one underdog I did pick last week, and I can't even remember his name. It was so important to me.
All
What
right.
was his name?
I don't
The guy
remember.
that had the huge upset that beat the
Oh,
Bonfim brother.
Nicholas Dalby.
Yeah, Nick fucking Dalby.
There you go.
I like that guy. That guy's tough.
But I thought you didn't end up putting him in your parlay. I thought you picked Derek Lewis instead.
Hey, I brought him up. Counts.
Yeah, maybe somebody heard it and put some money
You
on him.
talked it out of. You talked me out of it.
That's true. That's fair. I mean, I didn't think he couldn't win. Just out of the two, I thought, Almeida was gonna have to avoid the power of Derek Lewis for 5 whole rounds, because we've seen him do it at 4 rounds and 4 minutes and whatever it was against Volkov. So, you know, I guess I just like those underdog odds better.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a weird fight. He just sat on his chest for 21 minutes.
I would do the same thing if I was in there
Yeah.
with Derek Lewis. So if I could pin him down and not let him move, that's exactly what I would
Yeah, but
do.
I think that's going to put the brakes on his trajectory a little bit.
A little bit, and nobody's gonna want to fight him because of his grappling is so nasty.
Yeah.
Tom Aspinall will though, but maybe not after winning the interim belt. All right, so what's the first fight on the main card?
It's Diego Lopez versus Pat Sabatini.
All right, so this is, of course, we're talking about UFC 295 here. What are the odds?
Diego Lopez plus 100, Sabatini minus 120.
Okay, so this is a pick'em fight, pretty much.
Yeah. No, he isn't. Did I say it right? He's a Lopez is a plus 100.
Yeah, anything below plus 110, I think, is a pick'em.
Oh,
So Who are you going with?
I'm going with Diego Lopez, the emo Brazilian. Have you seen his haircut he's rocking?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
a pretty cool haircut.
It's very emo.
Yeah, you'd be mad. You're like getting beat up by this guy, and he looks like My Chemical Romance from
Yeah,
2005.
yeah. He's like writing songs in his closet, crying.
Yeah,
Do you know how
acoustic
many?
guitar.
Do you know how many emo kids it takes to screw in a light bulb?
No,
None. They just sit and cry in the dark.
I hate to admit it. I was a bit of an emo music fan in high school.
I believe it. You're getting a little bit of the Diego Lopez swoop going
Well,
on there.
no, I meant to get a haircut, but apparently they don't. My barber is somewhere else, not in Clearwater.
That's what all the emo kids say.
Yeah,
I couldn't get to my barber. All right, so you're going with Lopez.
yeah, I'm going with Lopez. I
All
think
right.
this could be fight of the night too, because both of these
Ah,
guys have some submission wins, some knockout wins. I think it's a great way to open the card.
so I would tend to agree with you if this were any other card and Matt Frevola and Benoit Saint Denis were not fighting on this card, but I don't see how that fight is not fight of the night. So that's the next one. So give me the odds here. What are the odds for our boy?
Ferrola's a plus 185, and Saint Denis is a minus 140.
Wow. So the odds closed on Frevola because I think earlier in the week or last week I saw him some places at plus 300.
I didn't see that, but I didn't start looking at him until I think yesterday.
Yeah, oh, man. And I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna put money on that." But I mean, I'm still gonna throw a couple of bucks on him because that's my boy, but I would have liked to get those better underdog odds. All right. So do I have to guess who you're going with here?
Well, when you announced, right, we not announced, when you showed me this fight, you said you didn't like this fight for him. And I tend to agree, but I think that's the way Matt wants it. And I brought some clips from Media Day to back that up. So here we go. Bear with me there a little longer.
Let's hear it.
Who, after his last performance in Paris, a lot of fans online, they're describing him as one of the most violent fighters just in the division. So I'm curious when that name came across, a name that probably not a lot of people close to the top 15 or in the top 15 are taking. When his name came across, what went through your mind?
It excited me. I was ready to fight anybody at MSG, but when they came with me with Benoit, that I got excited. That's what I want. I want to fight the boogeyman. I want to fight the guys that people don't want to fight. And his nickname's the God of War, but I'm gonna show the world that he's just a man.
Yeah. When I watched that, at first I didn't clip it, but then I went back to it because when he says the word excited, you can just hear some emotion in his voice, like he's ready to go. So then I went and watched Saint Denis' interview, and he had this to say about Frevola.
Okay.
Chris, obviously, they gave you Matt Frevola, who's a popular fighter here. So when his name came across your desk on that contract, what went through your mind?
I like the guy because he took the challenge right away. He's taking risk because obviously he's ranked. I'm not, and I believe he likes challenges, and he's not afraid to brawl and to go against me. So it will be a great fight.
So it just seems like Matt is very confident going into this fight because Saint Denis must have gotten a couple offers or been talking about fights and guys back out, and he just took it immediately.
Yeah, especially if you're looking at ranked fighters. I can understand why ranked fighters would turn this down. You have to respect the Steamrolla because he just says yes. I mean, the guy's on a crazy winning streak. Just knocked out Drew Dober, first one to knock him out in the UFC. So he had a lot of leverage. I mean, he probably could have been fighting up in the rankings, and he decided, all right, this guy's an exciting fight. Let's fucking do it. Somebody gave me an opportunity. I'm gonna pay it forward. So you got to respect that. It's a big risk, but at the end of the day, the rankings only exist for people like us and the fans and people in the media to have something to talk about. it's really just like, if you believe you're the best, then get in there and prove it against whoever's across from you. So I've always respected that about Frevola. And when he says he's excited, he means it. He's not just saying, a lot of these guys will say, "Oh, I love this shit and this is what I live for," and all the other bullshit that they feel obligated to say. He means it. Like, I've seen him in the gym. I've seen him sparring high level UFC guys in the gym, and he comes out of the cage like a kid in a candy store. Like, he genuinely loves it. And I've sat and had conversations with him in those moments. And, so when I hear him say that, like, I believe it. Like, I know he's telling the truth. He really means that he lives for this shit and he loves it.
Yeah,
Um,
I've had the opportunity to roll with Frevola a couple times several years ago, and he's such a nice guy, and he's like a killer. But then also, he can train with my wife Stacy and be, he's just down to earth. And
oh
sometimes I
yeah.
wish he's a little meaner. Not he's mean in the cage, but maybe a little meaner on the mic. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'll be watching this one through my fingers.
Yeah. And
Yes.
and he is funny. Like, he's come out of his shell a lot. So he first came on MMA on the Rocks right before he went on the Contender Series, which, gosh, how long ago was that? That was way before COVID.
I'm gonna say 2017.
I could tell you exactly right now.
I
Yeah,
met
it
him right
was
after that.
August 2017. So he came on the podcast right before that. So that was, wow, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Over 6 years ago.
I'm smoking.
Um, and he gave a good interview. I think I made him feel comfortable. We're both from New York. We had a lot in common. We had some mutual contacts. So it's not like I was some random media person. But since that time, he's definitely come out of his shell a lot and posting on social media. He's got the YouTube channel going now. Like, he's definitely showing more of his personality, which is a good thing because he's just such a likable guy. And I would want for more people to experience that.
Yeah, he's
Um,
definitely come out of his shell. I don't know if you you probably haven't saw this, but he's been on Below the Belt with Brendan Schaub a couple times. So he's started with you and he's all the way up into, I don't know, I'd say that's a top tier, depending on your opinion.
I'd say it's a downgrade from MMA on the Rocks, but
Maybe, okay, show quality maybe, but definitely eyeballs. It's a big step up.
oh, for sure, for sure. We're just breaking balls here, but yeah, I mean, it. I may not be a fan of those shows, but I'm definitely happy for Frevola being able to get all those eyeballs on him. He definitely deserves it.
And
All right,
he's a good fit on that show. But next off,
I
what do we
I
got
will
next?
I will watch it just because it's Frevola. I used to watch the fighter and the kid, but I don't know, it just for after it was just rubbing me the wrong way for a long time. And I was like, man, I don't know if I could do this. I got to the point I was skipping the first hour religiously until he got to talking about the fights, and then I just kind of abandoned it altogether. Maybe I'll give it another shot. All right, let's get through. All right. What were you gonna say?
No, let's go.
All right, let's get through the rest of this card. And then I actually have a parlay this week that I'm gonna be betting personally. So you guys know I don't normally give picks, but I'm going to tell you where my money's going this weekend. And
All right, next we have Mackenzie Dern. She's a minus 205 versus Jessica Andrade. She's a plus 170. And I'm gonna pick Jessica. Mackenzie's gym closed recently, Roca. I don't know who that guy is. She's been training at home. I think Jessica's on a losing, or she is on a losing streak, but I just don't see Mackenzie being able to get, she definitely, Dern will definitely be able to submit her if she can get her down. I just don't know if she can get her down on the ground, and it might end up just being a kind of a boring.
okay.
thing.
So one thing at a time here. The gym, yeah, Ruka did close, but she was with Jason Perillo there. And Jason Perillo is the kind of guy who, if the gym closes, he's not just going to be like, all right, I guess we're done. He's going to show up at your garage and hit mitts with you. I don't know that that's happened, but knowing what I know about Jason Perillo, I don't feel like he would just leave her high and dry. In any case, if we're ignoring all the outside stuff and we're just looking at this fight, Jessica Andrade is on a bad skid. Um, and she was submitted in her last fight, correct?
She's on a bad skid against very, very good opponents.
Okay. So she's lost 3 in a row and she's been submitted in 2 of those 3. Now, I agree with you that Mackenzie Dern may not be able to force the fight to the ground, but she has no qualms about pulling guard. She will just pull Jessica on top of her and she'll work off of her back and she'll probably be just fine there. Now, the X factor is the power of Jessica Andrade. She can end it with one shot at any time. Even though Mackenzie Dern's striking has gotten a lot cleaner, especially since working with Jason Perillo, I still worry about her striking in there. And yeah, her wrestling is not elite. I'll say that. And to get a shorter, stockier person to the ground is even more challenging. So, all that taken into account, I still see Mackenzie Dern pulling guard and submitting Jessica Andrade because she's been submitted twice in her last 3 fights by people with less grappling credentials than Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah, that is a good point. Mackenzie is arguably
And-
the best grappling in female.
And I would even say Mackenzie Dern's striking might be a little better than Erin Blanchfield's and maybe slightly better than Tatiana Suarez's. Granted, Tatiana Suarez has by far the best wrestling in the division. But if she's able to submit Jessica Andrade, I don't see any reason that Mackenzie Dern can't. So that's my thought on it. Does it sway you or are you sticking with
I'm
Jessica?
sticking with my guns.
All right, let's go to the co-main event.
The co-main event is a heavyweight battle between Sergey Pavlovich
Uh-huh.
and Tom Aspinall. Sergey Pavlovich is the minus 102, and Tom Aspinall is plus 175. And I think I said that wrong.
What, like
Yes. Yeah, that's not correct. Sergey is a minus 102, and Tom is a minus 118.
Okay, so this is definitely a pick'em fight.
This is what I thought a pick'em was. These two guys hold the 1 and 2 spot for the shortest average fight in the UFC. Take a guess on which one's faster.
Pavlovich.
Nope.
Oh,
Tom
okay.
Aspinall does.
But that's also, is that wins only? Because he had a quick fight against Curtis Blades and he lost.
I thought the same thing. It didn't say. It just said quickest fight distance. So maybe that. But Pavlovich definitely has more. I mean, he lost his debut to Overeem, and then since then he's had 6 first-round knockouts.
Yeah.
Big power out American top team. I was watching Embedded. I forget who said it, but there's no power bigger than top team than this guy, and that's saying a lot because they got a huge stable.
They got monsters. Yeah. This guy's terrifying. So who are you going with?
I'm going with Aspinall.
Why?
I went back and forth. I don't know. Like Aspinall, I might have got suckered by the countdown episode, but it's just he's got a cool story. Trained, his dad taught him jiu-jitsu, and he's been, he's had a hard time getting to the UFC because no one would fight him, and I just see a lead elbow, like an elbow or something quick. I'm picking Aspinall.
Okay. I'm with you on this one, actually, and it has nothing to do with the storytelling or anything like that. It has to do with Pavlovich being susceptible to grappling. So he used to train at AKA, and story goes he got thrown around in there when it came to the grappling by Daniel Cormier and others. So I think Tom Aspinall has very high level grappling, especially for a heavyweight. And I think if he gets Pavlovich down, it's going to be over. He's going to look like one of these guys that's totally lost off of his back, and Aspinall's just going to swarm him. All that being said, for Pavlovich, it takes one shot. Aspinall has power, but he doesn't have world-ending power like Pavlovich does. So, when you're betting on heavyweights, you always have to take that into consideration. I wouldn't put a lot of money on this one, especially since you're not going to get a big underdog payout. So if you are betting on this fight, I would say pick the guy you want to go with and just, throw a few bucks on him or throw him into a parlay. But don't go betting your house on either one of these guys.
This should be a fun fight. It's not the John Jones fight we were all looking for. And by the way, I would be pissed if I bought tickets to this show. Man, its tickets were expensive, and now you're like, oh. I mean, there's good fights, but I don't think they would command the prices they did.
Yeah, I guess that's true. When it comes to the prices, but when it comes to the actual fight, I'm more excited for the main event than I was for the original main event, only because from the minute Alex Pereira came to the UFC and beat what, not since he came to the UFC, but when he beat Izzy for the title, all I wanted was for him to move up immediately and fight Yuri Prohaska, who was the champion at the time. This has been a dream fight of mine for many years now. Since
Me too, but different reasons, because I'm looking forward to the weigh-in. I want to see that Viking shit and that, Brazilian.
The headdress and all that.
Headdress. Talk about a badass picture.
I guess Pereira and Jessica Andrade will both be in it. I want to see a picture of them side by side.
You might have to go to OnlyFans for that.
I did set up an OnlyFans account just to follow Billy Q because he's on there with like some exclusive content and stuff.
Is that like a back door into OnlyFans?
What do you mean?
Oh, let's be real here, Bill. If you have OnlyFans up until now, there's only one reason. But now at this, I saw they just did some big deal with the PFL.
Yeah, they did. They're going to be a sponsor of the PFL going forward. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there, besides the adult stuff. And they even at one point were trying to get away from the adult stuff altogether, but then they saw how much their revenue was going to drop, and they were like, well,
I think they need to do like what Flow Grappling kind of did and just start like a side app, because I don't really want to be on there because of adult stuff, but there's definitely some, I guess Patreon's the option, but like, I would pay for a Gordon Ryan OnlyFans if he's just teaching, throwing up a couple minute video every day of some technique he's working on or something.
All right, but the marketing meeting probably went like this. Like, look, we're going to have a lot of people who are subscribed to OnlyFans for the adult content, and they use it for whatever they use it for. And when they're done using it, they're very relaxed, and maybe they stay on the website and they say, oh, I like UFC. There's some UFC fighters on here. Let me subscribe for a couple of bucks to this one.
Yeah, but there's a big stigma, your significant other opens up your phone and sees OnlyFans. That's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, but then there's a lot of people without significant others.
True. And it's even weirder. The conversation even gets weirder when they go, it's okay. I only follow men.
Yeah, it's not what you think.
Yeah, it's not what you think. I only follow men.
Just UFC fighters who are like mostly unclothed most of the time.
Yeah, sweaty men. All right, you want my pick?
Sure. Which one of these sweaty men are you going with?
I'm coming!
All right, so I guess you're taking Yuri Prohaska.
Yeah, I'm not very confident on this one because it's like, Yuri's an awesome, weird, funky striker. His hands are always moving. He's kind of like that. It's that guy that backed out or missed weight against Wonder Boy.
Oh, Michel Pereira.
Yeah. But then like, okay, I think he's going to knock him out. But then you go, well, he's fighting Alex, and Alex just got inducted into the Glory Kickboxing Hall of Fame. So I don't know.
But this is not kickboxing. This is MMA. So MMA also incorporates clinch, which Glory Kickboxing does not have, and there's grappling. And Yuri would have an advantage in both of those areas. Both of these guys have fight stopping power. Uh, Prohaska is very disciplined, and he prepares for his opponents very well, but he gets hit a lot. Alex Pereira also gets hit a lot. So this one's going to be a matter of whoever gets hit with a clean shot first is going to go down, and the other one's going to be the new light heavyweight champion. So it's an exciting one for sure. I mean, flip a coin with this one, really. I'm just looking forward to an exciting fight.
This could be a quick card.
It could be. But then the cards that are set up like this tend to be ones that get dragged out the most, but I don't think we're gonna see that.
So what's your parlay, Bill?
All right. So I am actually doing a Law MMA parlay, and I don't know what the odds are gonna work out to be. I don't know if you can.
I can do it real quick.
All right, you can pull it up while I tell this to you. So
Yeah.
in the first fight, I'm going with Dennis Bazookia. He's fighting Jamal Emmers. So he had his UFC debut on short notice and came up short, but he's had a full fight camp for this one. I believe he's still coming into it as an underdog based on his last fight. Then I'm going with another Law MMA fighter, Nazim Sadikov. He's 9-1, and he's going in there against Vyacheslav Borshishev, who is 7-3, and that's a lightweight fight. And I just think if Sadikov was able to weather the storm against Terrence McKinney in his last fight and choke him out with that nasty rear naked choke variation that he used on him, then I don't feel uncomfortable putting money on him against anybody outside of the top 15. And of course, to round out this parlay, I'm going with our boy Matt the Steamrolla Frevola. So it's the Law MMA trifecta: Frevola, Sadikov, and Bazookia. So what are those odds work out to?
It's plus 1541. It's $10, makes 164.16.
I like it. So what have
I think that's I think that might be more like a bigger underdog than any parlay I've picked. So
okay. So
you're swinging for the fences.
Why not? Yeah, we got the three guys from the New York gym in Madison Square Garden. If the first one wins, they can all feed off of each other's energy. And
it'd be nice if you could add the fourth pick of like Longo will make it up and down the stairs the 3 times.
Is that something you can actually bet on?
No, I hope not. Poor fella.
Yeah, that would be horrible. I mean, he's progressed a lot. He had the same surgery my father-in-law had about 4 months ago. Granted, my father-in-law is, I think, 20 years older than Ray is. He had a much rougher recovery, but it seems like Ray's doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, that guy. Love listening to that guy.
I love Ray Longo. When I went up there and I visited Law, and I went on Ray Longo's podcast, which is now defunct, the MMA and Beyond podcast. After it was over, I sat there talking to him for like an hour. The gym was closed. There was like nobody else really there. There was like a physical therapist there who was kind of working on him, but he just talked to me like, like I was anybody, like just as fans of MMA. And it was such an awesome experience for me. So I'll always love that guy and support his fighters, as long as he's doing this.
So it looks like we got all our picks. I don't have much news. I have one thing I wanted to bring up. I thought it's so weird.
Okay.
And that's the Masvidal got his case dropped against beating the shit out of Colby Covington. And
I thought he settled.
he took a plea, which is the plea was time served, but I don't think he's been in prison.
Well, he's got to serve it then.
No, he's done.
Oh,
It's over with, and they're taking a weird angle because they're saying that, which Colby was saying he's gonna, threatening to kill him and beat him up, and so he said he was like in fear for his life, and that's how they won this got this settlement. But I
okay.
mean, he went to the store, like the restaurant Colby was eating at, and beat him up. But I have a little clip of them talking about it.
Go ahead.
We closed out the case with a misdemeanor and time served. I think the case probably should have been dismissed. It was a fight between two fighters. Two professional fighters. Well,
And
one professional fighter.
One threatened to end my life whenever he seen me on the streets. There's numerous videos out there saying he was gonna kill me when he saw me in the streets, and I was very worried for my life. I was very in fear of my life, so I had to defend myself.
So
Okay. So he was worried for his life, so he decides to
Track him down and jump him.
and blindside him and attack him, because he couldn't beat him in a fair fight. That's just kind of sad.
Yeah.
Words are words, especially to hype a fight, and Masvidal knows that. What he did was, not very respectable. So the long and the short of it is somebody made this go away. Whether it was Dana White or whether it was any of the other powerful friends that Jorge Masvidal has, like Dan Lambert. Somebody just made it go away, and that's basically what we're looking at with our legal system. There's a lot of loopholes, and money helps guide through those loopholes. But then he got into it with Chael Sonnen too, and he threatened him, and he said, you better keep that same energy if I see you in person. It's like, dude, you just got off the hook for one street fight, and you're already trying to book the next one against a guy who's much bigger than you.
It's kind of a shame. I always like Masvidal, really, because of the street Jesus thing. But then when you see it in action, it's kind of it's cost Colby some of probably the most profitable time of his career, because whatever injury he's got for this. I know he's got a fight coming up, and I'm really looking forward to it. Colby's one of my favorite fighters, but I don't know. I don't like when you can obviously tell that somebody got off because of some things like what you were saying.
Yeah, and it would be a much better story if he was like this street guy who was reformed and became a millionaire and retired from MMA as a millionaire, and the story ends there. And then he went on to other things, running his bare knuckle MMA promotion and whatever else, and being successful at life. That's a better story to me than, well, once a thug, always a thug, and if I see you in the streets, it's going to be the same story. I don't like hearing the story end that way. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, you're a multimillionaire. You won at life. Just go on and do other things and be successful. You don't have to do this anymore.
And if we're being honest, everyone can see Colby's gimmicks are gimmicks. He's not that he's not that guy. The fight on the spot.
Yeah.
And
if anybody knows that, it's his former roommate Masvidal.
Yeah, I saw him working
friends with him when he created the character.
Yeah, he did a video this week. Colby did working out with the Nelk boys. He's not this guy ain't a thug.
No, he's not a street guy. However, if you're gonna pick a fight with Chael P, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, he beat up 5 guys at a hotel a couple years ago.
Yeah, and we still haven't gotten the full story on that.
Yeah, Chael's pick. He must be having some. I don't know. Maybe he needs to smoke some weed or something. He's arguing with Ariel and.
Okay, so let's talk about the Ariel thing. I didn't see it. I heard some of the backlash, and I heard Chael on John McCarthy and Josh Thompson's podcast. Here's the thing. When I saw a bunch of headlines and I saw clips saying that Chael Sonnen Ariel Helwani got into a shouting match and calling each other names and whatever happened without even seeing it. I assumed it was scripted on their part.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I have a problem watching Ariel. I don't enjoy his show at all.
Yeah, same. That's because I have self-respect. Uh,
Yeah, just every clip I see from that show, it just seems like he's just trying. He interviewed Sugar, and he has and Cheeto Vera just happens to call in at the time, and they play. It seems like you might have to sit there for an hour before they start the show to set up all the bullshit they're gonna do.
yeah, it's not an enjoyable format for him, and he's very successful, and he's definitely put the work in. Like he was doing it for peanuts, showing up to UFC events when no media was covering it. So I give him all the credit in the world for that. But all the clickbait stuff and all bullshit like this, um, I don't really care. But when I saw Chael was involved and Ariel was involved, I know they're friends. I know they help each other out. So even if it did get heated, here's what probably happened. Chael says to Ariel, let's get into a little scuffle on the air. We'll generate some headlines. Ariel says, oh, great. They actually get into it, and Ariel's not as good at improvising as Chael is, and probably got a little worked up and started saying dumb shit to Chael like, oh, you wouldn't say that to my face, you coward, or whatever he said. And it's like, obviously he would say it to your face. Why would he be afraid of you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody has their cup of tea, and he's successful, and I won't take him down for anything. But yeah, it seems like
I think it was totally staged, and he, at a minimum, if they really did get mad at each other, it was still staged in the first place.
yeah,
And now
it just went downhill.
Ariel's doing a little backpedaling, and because he doesn't, as much as he says he doesn't care what people think, he will back down when he gets a lot of heavy criticism. So he probably didn't like the backlash from it. Chael will lean into anything. We've seen this throughout his entire career. You can't believe a single word that comes out of that guy's mouth.
Yeah.
So even when he was on the Weighing In podcast, he was still being very coy about it, being very Chael Sonnen. And I believe the whole thing was a setup. I'll go back and watch some, but then I tried to go find a clip of it, and it's just you gotta watch like the hour-long Ariel Helwani. Nobody's clipped up like just a piece of it. They're just showing like, here's my reaction to the situation. Just show me the clip of them arguing, and then I'll probably validate my claim that it was all set up.
Yeah. All right. So the only other thing I have tonight is there's been some fight announcements, some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play Dana White's announcement, and then I want to hear you react to them. But I also want to hear, because I think this should put us all the way to UFC 299.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear with the fights that are scheduled for the rest of this year, and then the beginning of this year, what your UFC 300 prediction is. So here we go.
Let's do it.
What's up, guys? I'm going to hit you with 3 more pay-per-view headliners. In January, we're doing Sean Strickland versus Dricus Duplessis. In February, we're doing Volkanovski versus Topuria. And in March, we're doing O'Malley versus Vera. Busting into the new year with some fun fights. I'll see you guys in New York City.
Okay, so the O'Malley Vera is going to be 299 then?
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what happens on this card. If Prohaska or Pereira has like a crazy knockout, they're going to be at the top of that UFC 300 card, I would think. If Pavlovich or Aspinall have a big performance, they could be near the top as well. I don't know if either of those are deserving of being the headliner, but definitely they could be near the top of the card or co-main event. Man, that's going to be a tough one. I think if Conor McGregor's coming back, he'll be the headliner of UFC 300.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Looking at the champs, all the champs are fighting either between now and the end of the year, and those 3 fights that are announced, other than Pantoja, but that guy can't. That's not going to be the headliner of UFC 300. I think it's Mr. Nathan Diaz and Conor McGregor.
I mean, it could be. It's not a bad prediction. It seemed like Conor was trying to set up a fight with Islam. Could we get Conor against Islam Makhachev? That's a possibility as well.
Conor's going to go to 155. Well, I guess the video this week or last week, he did look pretty lean on a treadmill.
Yeah, and we're talking about April, right?
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, come on, he doesn't need to. He can't fight Islam.
He can.
I mean, he can go in there. I don't know. I want to see the end of Conor's career just be about the fights we want. We got to see the third one with Nate Diaz. Let's cut the title bullshit out of there. Let's just get a good, fun fight. Make the whole UFC 300 this event of fights we want to see.
It's interesting.
Who cares about titles? I saw that they shut down. There's going to be no Ronda Rousey or Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't really care.
We're good. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
but
if you're going to throw either one of them in a main event, like, you got to have them get a tune-up fight or something first, and like they're doing fine doing what they're doing. I don't think they need to come back and do real fighting again.
I mean, they haven't been on the. We watched the WWE religiously. Both of them haven't been there.
Oh, really?
Brock was back for a little bit, but you don't see. Ronda's just on her farm.
Wasn't Brock just? Wasn't his thing in the WWE always like he would just pop up every now and then?
Yeah, same thing with Ronda. She started out pretty regular, but it's not much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe they just ran through what the most they could do with that character. Is there anything else on the prelims that caught your eye?
Prelims. Well, you mentioned them with Longo's guys. I'll be looking forward to that fight.
Yeah,
Jared Gordon's coming back. You always got to watch him.
I like Jared Gordon and Marco Madsen. That's an interesting fight. Marco Madsen, obviously one of the best grapplers on the roster, Olympic medalist.
Yeah, we got Roosevelt Roberts.
Yeah, so he's always had it out for Frevola. He like was calling him out for a long time. If I remember correctly, he was cut from the UFC.
Yeah, I think I saw him fighting in LFA or some other organization.
It was LXF.
Oh.
And he won there, and then he fought in EFC, so the Khabib's promotion, and he won there, but that was in May 2022. And now
he was probably around, like maybe he was just around and they needed somebody to fight, and here you go.
That's possible. So he's getting in there with Mateusz Rebicki. Let's take a look at this guy real quick. 31 years old, 18-1, and that one loss was in 2014. So he's got 2 fights in the UFC, 3 if you count the Contender Series. And they might have just needed somebody to come back and get in there with this dude, this Polish little tank here, 5'7". The guy looks like he's all muscle.
Hey, Bill, did you see Aspen Lad? I know you were talking about how she missed weight a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I remember hearing you talk about how she needs to move up in weight. Well, I think she might have heard you, and she might have taken it a little too far.
What's she doing?
Is fighting Kayla Harrison.
Oh, fuck. Man, there's someone who had so much potential. She was so talented. And she had that unfortunate fight with Jermaine Durandamy where she kind of got like a flash knockout in 9 seconds or whatever it was, but then like snapped out of it instantly. And then that was kind of the beginning of the end of her career.
What weight class was she? What'd she weigh?
So I believe it was mostly 135 in the UFC.
So Kayla's actually she took this fight at 150, so it's 5 pounds less than she usually fights. So
yeah, and Kayla's, I mean, she's made 145 before, and if she's gonna get a big fight, she has to make 145. Like there's no girls out there that big that can fight her.
Well, whatever the case, I'm gonna be rooting for Miss Aspen Ladd this
All
fight.
right. When is that fight happening?
November 24th.
Okay. So that's like,
yeah, she replaced Julia Budd, pulled out, and the PFL just kicked her right the fuck out of there.
Julia Budd?
Yeah, she's released.
There's going to be nowhere for her to go then because PFL is acquiring Bellator soon. So,
yeah, I'll be interested to see what goes on with that. I think there's some big things coming.
Well, all right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, everything's kind of in limbo right now, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. All right, I'm excited for UFC 295. It's going to be an awesome card. I see your dog just made a cameo in the background. He's like, "Hey boys, we doing the podcast?"
Yeah, that's Darce.
Sorry, Darce. We just wrapped up. Oh man.
All right, Bill. Well, hopefully these picks work out, and we're gonna figure this stuff out along the way.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if I lose all the money I bet as long as Steamrolla comes away with a win.
Yeah, that's gonna. I'm nervous already. I mean, and he hasn't even cut the weight yet.
Yeah, well, he's probably
right now.
Yeah, he's probably doing it now. Yeah. So, well, here's a final cheers to the Steamrolla, and let's see what happens on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. As always, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you want to get merchandise, it's at Team Reaper, reaper1.co. I'll put the links in the show notes as always. That's all we got. So until next time, cheers everybody. Goodbye.